Hey guys, Andy here for Mediocre Hobbies, coming at you with another painting tutorial for the Leagues of Votann playlist on the channel. This time we are painting up the most unique miniature in the collection, and that is of course Grimnyr, the druid wizard man thing. He's an absolutely beautiful miniature. He stands out from the rest of the Votann as he's wearing lots of robes and cloth and stuff, where the rest of them are very much heavily armored. So he was quite a different piece, and he will stand out in the battlefield. So I was quite looking forward to getting him painted up and on the shelf. So stick around guys and enjoy the video. Okay, this is Grimnyr himself, an absolutely stunning miniature. I've given him a coat of chaos black and then a zenithal of grey Seer, and then I start off with his brown robes. So I used contrast, gore grunt of fur, and I applied this to all the parts of his robes that are supposed to be that really nice rich brown. To make sure I got all the right bits, I did actually have the 360 pulled up from the Games Workshop website. I often have that particular thing pulled up when I'm painting miniatures. It's really nice to be able to spin miniatures around. You can actually pull down on the mouse and it goes above, the camera goes above the miniature so you can look down, which just makes it really good for getting in at nooks and crannies and trying to see where different parts of a miniature end, where different parts of color start. So I often use that. If I hadn't have used that, I wouldn't have known that perhaps that the inside this cape, like the box art, is actually supposed to be white. I didn't go for white. I changed it to the red color scheme that matches my Votann. I used that as the color to do that with, so you'll see that a little bit later on though. I then moved to Gulliman Flesh and used that for the tiny amount of skin showing on this model, which is basically just his forehead, nose, and a bit of his bottom lip. Black Templar was used to block in a lot of the other colors, so we did his boots, his belt going around his waist, most of his gloves and sleeves. We left some of the paneling on his gloves white so we could hit them with the red later on. And then the shaft of his rod of power, or rod of whatever, was also done with the Black Templar contrast paint, just to block in all those colors. Very quick and easy step, but it helps to block out the colors. Turned out that a lot of the armor, which I thought was all gold, was a lot of it was actually black. Once again, I learned that from the website. So as you can see, I followed through the one that goes over his hood, and all of the panels that are attached to his robes, apart from like the bottom and the bit on his chest, is actually black. Bloodagent's red contrast was then used for all the parts of the miniature that I wanted to do with the red scheme to make it match my conglomerate. So I decided to go for the inside of the cape. Whether or not you guys think this is a good idea, I would love to know in the comments whether you think this was a good idea or not. I kind of sit on the fence as to whether I'm in love with it or whether I made a mistake. But apart from that, all of the other parts, like his nice big command thingy sticking out of his back, has a lot of armor panels showing. So we did that in red, the bits of his gloves. And then it was time to move over to Retributor Armor Gold. Once again, using the website to figure out which parts of the miniature were gold was of course the hem of his robes. A lot of gold there. His big like chest piece of office, the head of his staff thing, and then some of the details across his backpack were also done with the Retributor Armor Gold. And once all of the gold is done on this miniature, it basically that's all the base coats then applied. So it was time to move over to a shade. And I stuck with the same shade I've been using for this entire army so far, and that's Reikland Flesh Shade. It'll work beautifully on the brown, on the gold, on the red. So I'm going to stick with that and apply that all over the entire miniature. While I waited for that particular shade to dry, I based up the miniature to match my kind of moon/asteroid surface texture that I've been doing for my Votann army so far, which then left me in a really nice position to start layering. And obviously when I was finished layering, then I would be complete because I would have the base already out of the way. So the first thing I did was move to Mournfang Brown, and of course it's time to layer up all of the brown robes. This is quite a lot of the brown robes are going to get covered with the Mournfang Brown. It's just all of the deeper folds and creases, places where shadows would be, that we're going to leave that darker color. As you can see, his knee is forward, so that bit is kind of pointed more out of his body, so more sun and light is going to get to it, so that's going to be mostly Mournfang. Whereas the bits in here, where his cape is flowing, there's going to be more creases, more places for shadow to form. And as I go around behind the body, I didn't actually paint this with mortifying at all. So that's about as far as I took the brown around the side of the miniature. Next, I used Cadian flesh tone, and an absolutely minute amount of this was used to highlight his eyebrows, his nose, a little bit of his cheek, and a tiny dot on that bottom lip that's exposed through his beard. This stage took about 1 second. Trying to be as careful as possible with a fine pointed brush. Next, it was time for the 2 stages of layering on the red. So starting with Mephiston Red, and I just quickly went over and layered up all of those red parts. I used the Blood Angel's Red contrast on. This of course includes the inside of his cape. Take my time not to hit any of that gold filigree or trim. That's one of the standout features of the miniature, and I don't want a blob or a dot of red to be mixed in with the gold. I really do like how that basing scheme looks, especially on a model like this with all those cool rocks. This is how I feel the basing scheme on these miniatures were supposed to be, because if you do look at it, they have pitted holes that look kind of like asteroid strikes across the surface of any of the texture bases, which means I think that's how it was supposed to be. Evil Sunz Scarlet was used as the second layering job on the red. This is obviously a much quicker job, and once again, like the brown, it's just hitting the more raised areas, leaving anywhere that has the kind of dark creases with the darker red. And I do think there is a substantial amount of red, or enough of a substantial amount of red, that when I do place him on my shelf with the rest of the army, he is going to match in nicely. Of course, this model is accompanied by 2 droids, which fight for him and shoot for him and stuff like that. I'm not going to be painting these guys up in video. I actually painted them up on my Twitch stream. So if you're curious about anything like that, I do stream over on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday between 8 and 10 p.m. Irish time. So if you'd like to jump in, say hello, get involved with some hobby, then that's a brilliant time for you to do that. Ironbreaker Silver is what we used to layer up all of the metallic parts in this miniature. So a couple of dot highlights across all the gold surfaces. It was a very quick thing to do, but I think it stood out really nicely. It's something that I've been working on for about a year now, is not so much going to a brighter gold to highlight the gold with, but using some bright silver. As you can see, it's a very quick, like this is real time. As you can see, it's just taking me a few dots across the surface of his kind of big dwarven head across the bottom of his cape. Very quickly doing, and it's giving you an absolutely stunning result, as if I'd spent a lot more time on it than I did. It's a technique that I'm going to continue to practice over and over again. I don't think I'll ever go back to, hitting a gold with a lighter gold, unless it was maybe Liberator gold, which is pretty much metallic silver. With all of the gold layered up, I'm going to use a little bit of Administratum Grey, and this is just to highlight the strands of hair going down his beard. Quick and easy step, just to make that more druid look on him stand out even more. Space Gandalf. As you can see, I'm quite keen on this miniature. I cannot wait to get him on a tabletop and play him in a game, and this is the finished result. I'm super pleased with it. I'm sure I'll have pictures of him with his droid over on my Instagram if you want to check that out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching the entire way through the video. Okay guys, and there we have it. One Grimnyr ready to take to the battlefield and smote his enemies with crazy psychic powers. He was an absolute joy to paint. I hope you guys enjoyed what I did with him, as goes the extra colors to make him fit into my conglomerate more than the standard color scheme. If you did, make sure you give the video a like. If you have any questions about anything that I did in this video or any other video, make sure you drop in the comments below, and I will get back to each and every one of you guys. If for some crazy reason you're not already subscribed to my channel, it would mean the world to me if you took 2 seconds every day and hit that subscribe button. And if you really like what I do, want to help me to grow even further, there's links to things like my Patreon below, which will give you access to things like a private Discord server where you hang out with me on a daily basis and get chatting about your hobby. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.